तव कथामृतम् तप्तजीवनम् कविभिरीडितम् कल्मषापहम् श्रवणमङ्गलम् श्रीमदाततम् भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः।
ॐ तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जना. We are studying the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, and today we have to start the conversations of Saturday, December 27, 1884. It was the Christmas season. Taking advantage of the holidays, many devotees came to the temple garden to visit the master. Some of them arrived in the morning. Among these were Kedar, Ram, Nitya Gopal, Tarak, Surendra, M. Sarada Prasanna, and a number of young devotees. This was Sarada Prasanna's first visit. So I met all of them except Sarada Prasanna. Sarada Prasanna became later on Triguna Titananda. Master, to M. Where is Bankim? We remember, Bankim was Master Maharsh's student, and Thakur has love and affection for him. And so he is inquiring why he has not come. Haven't you brought him with you? She was expecting Master Maharshi will bring. Bankim was a schoolboy whom Sri Ramakrishna had met in Bagbazar. Noticing him even from a distance, the master had said that he was a fine boy. After a while, Sri Ramakrishna went to the Panchavati with the devotees. They surrounded him, some sitting and some standing. He was seated on the cement platform around the tree, facing the southwest. He asked M with a smile, "Have you brought the book?" M, "Yes, sir." "Master, read a little to me." The devotees were eager to know the name of the book. It was called Devi Chaudarani. Now here I will tell you the connection. And the whole connection is in Master Maharsh's mind. This is connected. The previous was Star Theatre. Before that, what in Bengali we had to go to Parishishta to find was Bankim Chandra. That was 6th December. And at the end of that, please refer to that at the end. I'll read out. Since Bankim had invited Sri Ramakrishna to visit his home, the master a few days later sent Girish and M to his Calcutta residence. At that time, Bankim had a long discussion with these two devotees about the master. He told them that he wanted to visit Sri Ramakrishna again, but his desire was not fulfilled. If we remember, the day Bankim came, for whatever reason we do not know, his behavior or his talk was not proper. And according to that, Master had heavily criticize him and people like him. He that day represented, you may say, the Western influenced young men of Calcutta. He represented them, and so he talked in a way nonsense. And Sri Ramakrishna took him to task. Till the end it went on, till the end. Only while going back, he said that I am not as bad as you are thinking. That means he has understood that Sri Ramakrishna has not thought nicely about him. Now, and Thakur sent Girish and Master Mashas to his house, and they had a long discussion. So Master Masha's impression about him is that he is not a bad person. He is not as bad as represented that day. He has several good thoughts, and he must have told about his visit and his talks reported to the master. And he has told that in the books written by him, he has not presented that nonsensical ideas, but he has presented certain ideas which are according to the Gita or Hindu scriptures. So, Master Masha wanted that Sri Ramakrishna should not make a bad impression about Bankim. That will harm Bankim. So, that is what he has told about a book to Sri Ramakrishna. And Sri Ramakrishna was ready to listen to it and find out what are the good points in Bankim. That is the background. So though the Master Masha has referred to Christmas and all those things, the connection is with Master Masha's thought that Bankim should be presented to Thakur in a better way through his books. And Sri Ramakrishna is ready for that, and for that only we get this connection. So, we proceed. The book is called Devi Chaudhurani. Devi is either a goddess or a woman of a high rank. And Chaudhurani, Chaudhuri, wife of Chaudhuri, Chaudhurani. So, the actual name of that woman is not given, but honorific title is there. The master had heard from Master Masha that the book dealt with motiveless action. He had also heard of the great renown of its author Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, whom he had met some days before, and he wanted to gauge the author's mind from the book, that is the all substance. M said, so M is now reading or introducing. A young girl, the heroine, fell into the hands of a robber named Bhavani Pathak. Her name had been Prafulla, but the robber changed it to Devi Chaudhurani. At heart, Bhavani was a good man, that robber. He made Prafulla go through many spiritual disciplines. Strange robber. He also taught her how to perform selfless action. He robbed wicked people, and with that money fed the poor and helpless. So something like Robin Hood and his merry men. He said to Prafulla, I chastise the wicked and protect the virtuous. So at this point, Thakur says, Master, but that is a king's duty, not the robber's duty. Actually, God says that I destroy the wicked and help the good people, not poor or anything. But these poor and wicked. This is a king's duty. M. In one place, the author writes of bhakti. Bhavani Pathak sent a girl named Nishi to keep Prafulla company. Nishi was full of piety and looked on Krishna as her husband. Prafulla was already married. She had lost her father and lived with her mother. What happened to her husband? The neighbors had created a scandal about her character and avoided her, and so her father-in-law had not allowed her to live with his son. That is the story. Later, her husband had married again, but Prafulla was extremely devoted to her husband. So this is the setup. To Sri Ramakrishna. Now, sir, you can follow the story. So he has told his background and now he will read. M. Read. Nishi. I am a daughter of Bhavani Pathak. He is my father. He has also in a way given me in marriage. Prafulla. What do you mean? Nishi. I have surrendered my all to Krishna. Prafulla. How is that? Nishi. My beauty, youth and soul. Prafulla. Then he is your husband? Nishi. Yes. Because he alone is my husband who completely possesses me. Prafulla with a sigh. I do not know. You talk that way because you do not know what a husband is. If you had a real husband, you would never have liked Sri Krishna. The foolish Brajeshwar, Prafulla's husband, was unaware that his wife loved him so much. Nishi. So why this scandal was created? For what? We do not know. Nishi. All can love Sri Krishna because he has infinite beauty, infinite youth and infinite splendor. The young lady was a disciple of Bhavani and well versed in logic. So she was not actually the daughter, but she thought herself to be the daughter and well versed in logic. But Prafulla was illiterate. She could not answer Nishi's arguments. But the writers of the Hindu social laws knew the reply. God is infinite, no doubt, but one cannot keep the infinite in the small cage of the heart. One can do so only with the finite. Therefore, the infinite creator of the universe is worshipped by the Hindu in the cage of his heart as Sri Krishna, the finite personal God. This is all Bankim's philosophy. The husband of a woman has a still more definite form, sthul, gross. Therefore, if the wife cherishes pure conjugal love, the husband becomes the first step towards God. Hence, the husband is the only deity to the Hindu woman. Other societies are inferior to Hindu society in this respect. They do not have this divine idea at all. Their love is based upon mutual attraction. Prafulla was an ignorant girl. She could not understand Nishi's argument. She said, friend, I do not understand all these arguments, but you haven't yet told me your name. Is it so? Yeah, all right. Nishi. Bhavani Pathak has given me the name of Nishi. Night. Nishi is night. I am the sister of Diva, day. One day I shall introduce my sister to you. Let me continue what I was saying. God alone is the real husband, and to a woman, the husband is her only God. So, and that is how his philosophy goes. Sri Krishna is the God of all. Why should we cherish two deities, two gods? If you divide the little bhakti of this small heart, how little there will be. So, human ideas with some truth in it. Prafulla, don't be silly. Is there any limit to a woman's bhakti? She has experience, though not logic. Nishi, there is no end to a woman's love. But bhakti is one thing and love another. Bhakti is for God only. Summarizing part of the book, M said that Bhavani initiated Prafulla into spiritual life. He continued reading. So this much is summarized. During the first year, Bhavani did not allow any man to enter Prafulla's house, nor did he allow her to speak to any man outside her house. Discipline outside the house. During the second year, the rule about speaking was withdrawn, but no man was allowed inside her house. In the third year, Prafulla shaved her head. Women, widows especially, or sannyasinis were shaving her head. So that is what he has done to Prafulla. Now, Bhavani allowed his select disciples to see her. He thinks that she has become mature enough. The shaven-headed disciple would converse with them on scriptural topics, keeping her eyes cast on the ground. So discipline is there. M then read that Prafulla began the study of the scriptures, that she finished grammar and read Raghuvamsha, Kumar Sambhav, Shakuntala, and Naishad. These are the famous Sanskrit literature books. Raghuvamsha is 2-3 generations above Ramachandra and several generations after him, total 14 generations is described by Kalidasa, that is called Raghuvamsha. Kumar Sambhav, Kumar is Subramanya Kartikeya, the son of Shiva. And how he was born is the subject matter of that book. That is also Kalidasa. Shakuntala. The actual name of the book is Avijnana Shakuntalam. It is about Shakuntala, the son of the sage Vishwamitra, and Menaka, the heavenly damsel. And when the daughter was born, she was left in Kanva Rishi's house. And Kanva became her foster father, and he taught her nicely. He reared her up. And when Dushyanta, the king, while chasing prey in what is called hunting, came tired to that ashrama. And Shakuntala served him, and he fell in love instantaneously and had what is called Gandharva Vivaha. That means he had sex with her first and promised that when the time comes, I will take you back. Durvasa was a rishi with hot temper, and Shakuntala, while thinking of Dushyanta, could not pay full attention to Durvasa. So Durvasa cursed her that the person thinking of whom you are not properly attending to me will forget you. Then when he was prayed earnestly, he made a reverse thing that if he finds the ring which he has given you today or that at that time, If he finds the ring, then he will remember. Now the ring had slipped from Shakuntala's hand. It was swallowed by a fish, and a hunter found it. And now in between, when the proper time came, because Dushyanta is not coming, she herself with her escorts went to the king's palace. And as far as Durvasa's curse, he did not recognize her and turned her out. Menaka, her mother, picked her up and took her to heaven. And there the son was born, named Bharata, from whose name our Bharata Varsha has come. Now, Dushyanta had found that ring and he was remembering and searching for Shakuntala. Now, Dushyanta, to fight on behalf of gods, went to heaven. And there he found his wife with a child. And then they were united. That is the story. So that is Shakuntala by Kalidas. And Nishada Charita. That is who? Udite Naishade Kave Ko Mago Kocha Bharavi. So it is Harsha's Naishada Charita. Anyway, so that is another, that is not Kalidasa, excellent Sanskrit book. So these are not scriptures. But in order to study scriptures, one requires knowledge of Sanskrit language. That was the thought. So grammar and these books she had studied. And that she studied a little of the Sankhya, Vedanta and Nyaya philosophy. That was the tradition. Master, do you know what that means? People like the author of this book believe that knowledge is impossible without the study of books. They think that first comes the knowledge of books and then comes the knowledge of God. In order to know God, one must read books. But if I want to know Jadu Malik, must I first know the number of his houses and the amount of money he has in government securities? Do I really need all this information? So the traditional idea is wrong. Rather, I should somehow enter his house, be it by flattering this gate, beautiful, by flattering the gatekeepers, or by disregarding their rough treatment and talk to Jadu Malik himself. He is a known rich man, so he is talking like that. Then if I want to know about his wealth or possessions, I shall only have to ask him about them. Then it will be a very easy matter for me. First comes Rama, then his riches. That is, the universe is the riches of Rama. This is why Valmiki repeated the mantra Mara. Ma means God and Ra the world. That is to say, his riches. So that is why that mantra was given to him. The devotees listened to the master's words with rapt attention. M continued with the story of Prafulla. Prafulla finished her studies and then practiced spiritual austerity for many days. So that was the idea. First, many people even today have that idea. I do not know Raghuvansham and all that, but first scriptural study and then try to realize that, which I do not find succeeding most of the cases. It may be true with some people, but the study ends in intellectual understanding and it ends there. No effort at sadhana. I will tell you my experience in Rishikesh. Though it was known as the place of sadhana previously, Kashi was famous for study of scriptures, Rishikesh for sadhana. But the times have changed, and Rishikesh, they say, first study. And many traditional followers of Vedanta are taught like that. But I will tell about Rishikesh what I was telling. There, if a man has, if a sadhu has vairagya, he is praised very much. If a sadhu has scholarship, he is praised very much. And if he has both, he is said Vedanta Murti and all that. Nobody talks of experiencing Vedanta. I did not find, neither in that 1 year nor in these 8.5 years. I am not talking about sadhus in general. One or two who, there was a Swami, I don't know his name, but he used to teach the Brahma Sutra. But at a particular time he left that ashrama and went into solitude. So the real sadhus, they go to solitude. But the general trend of orthodoxy, I met another Swami. He said he wants to study Vedanta from me. I said that I have heard that you are a teacher. He said, yes, I studied Vedanta in Kailash Ashram. And they told me you are now qualified to teach. So it is just like college, isn't it? One completes one study and then becomes the teacher. I remember one girl had told me in Nagpur like that. After one studies, then one teaches. I am not doing this for a job, for money. But what to do? After study, one teaches. Same thing applies to Vedanta. So that is my experience. And so my gurus did not tell me like that I have to study Nyaya and Sankhya for understanding Vedanta. They said if the mind is sufficiently receptive, one can directly understand Vedanta. And rather, after understanding Vedanta, one can understand the other philosophies. That is how I was taught. So Prafulla finished her studies and then practiced spiritual austerity for many days. Then one day Bhavani visited her. He wanted to instruct her about selfless work. So after all that selfless work, we are taught selfless work first, then capacity for knowledge comes, and then study and practice of Vedanta goes together. He quoted to her from the Gita, therefore do thou always perform obligatory actions without attachment. By performing action without attachment, one attains to the highest. He told her the three characteristics of disinterested action. First, control of the sense organs. Second, absence of egotism. And third, surrendering the fruit of action to Sri Krishna. He further told her that no dharma is possible for the egotistic person. Quoting from the Gita, he said, the gunas of Prakriti perform all action. With the understanding deluded by egotism, man thinks I am the doer. Bhavani next spoke to her about surrendering the fruits of action to Sri Krishna. Again he quoted from the Gita, whatever thou doest, whatever thou eatest, whatever thou givest away, whatever austerity thou practicest, O son of Kunti, do that as an offering unto me. This is the best shloka of the 9th chapter, 26 shloka. Master, that is fine. These are the words of the Gita. One cannot refute them, but something else must be noted. The author speaks about surrendering the fruits of action to Sri Krishna, but not about cultivating bhakti for him. How this comes? No, that is not especially mentioned here. Next, Prafulla and Bhavani talked about the use of money. Prafulla said that she offered all her wealth to Krishna. M read from the book again. Prafulla, like my actions, I offer all my wealth to Sri Krishna. So she had some money. Huh? Bhavani, all? Prafulla, yes, all. Bhavani, in that case, you won't be able to perform action in a detached spirit. If you have to work to earn your food, you will be attached to that work. Hence, there are two alternatives before you. Either you will have to get your food by begging, or you will have to live on your money. Even a beggar becomes attached to the alms he received. Therefore, you must use your own money to maintain your body. M to the M to the master smiling. That is the nature of the calculating mind. Master, yes, that is the nature of the calculating mind. That is the way of the worldly man thinks. But he who seeks God plunges headlong. He doesn't calculate about how much or how little he needs for the production of the body. That is also in the Gita. M. Next, Bhavani asked Prafulla, how will you offer all this money to Sri Krishna? Prafulla said, why? Sri Krishna dwells in all beings. I shall distribute the money among them. Bhavani answered, good, good. Quoting from the Gita, Bhavani said, he who sees me in all beings and all things in me never becomes separated from me, nor do I become separated from him. That yogi who established in unity worships me, dwelling in all beings, abides in me. Whatever his mode of life, O Arjuna, that yogi is regarded as the highest, who judges the pleasant and the pleasure and the pain of all beings by the same standard as he applies to himself. So, Bhavani is teaching a lot of the Gita, but in between, he has talked about money. Your own money you should keep, otherwise you'll have to beg. Master, these are the characteristics of the highest bhakta. Okay? I'm again read from the book. A man must work hard if he wants to help all beings with charity. Hence, it is necessary for him to make a little display of pomp and luxury. Therefore, Bhavani said, a little shopkeeping is necessary. Master, sharply, he does not like this at all. A little shopkeeping is necessary. One speaks as one thinks. If a man thinks of worldly things day and night and deals with people hypocritically, then his words are colored by his thoughts. If one eats radish, one belches radish. Instead of talking about shopkeeping, he should rather have said a man should act as if he were the doer, knowing very well that he is really not the doer. Aha, Thakur Sriji. The other day, a man was singing here. The song contained words like profit and loss. I stopped him. If one contemplates a particular subject day and night, one cannot talk of anything else. The reading continued. The author was describing the realization of God. Prafulla had become Devi Chaudharani. It was the month of Vaishakha. Devi was seated on the roof of a houseboat, talking with Diva and another woman companion. The moon was up. The boat had cast anchor in the Ganges. The conversation turned to the question of whether one could see God. Diva said, Devi said, Devi said, as the aroma of a flower is directly pursued by the nose, So God is directly pursued by the mind, not seen. At this point, the master interrupted and said, yes, God is directly pursued by the mind, but not by this ordinary mind. That is only an imagination of the mind. It is a pure mind that pursues God. And at that time, this ordinary mind does not function, then the spiritual mind functions. A mind that has the slightest trace of attachment to the world cannot be called pure. When all the impurities of the mind are removed, you may call that mind pure mind or pure Atman. Atman alone is true. Atman itself appears as the mind, but the impure mind cannot feel that. If the mind is pure, one realizes that this mind is nothing but form of Atman. So that is Thakur's special teaching. Gaudpad has taught the same thing in the Mandukya Karikas. That mind, when absolutely still, comes out as Brahman itself. That is Gaudpad. And the author says a little later that God cannot easily be pursued by the mind. He says that one needs a telescope to have the direct vision. Yoga is the telescope. Yoga, as it is described in the Gita, is of three kinds: Jnana, Bhakti, and Karma. One is able to see God through this telescope of yoga. Master, that is very good. These are the words of Gita. At last, Devi Chaudhrani met her husband. She showed him great devotion and said to him, you are my God. I wanted to learn the worship of another God, but I did not succeed. You have taken the place of all gods. Master smiling. I did not succeed. This is the dharma of a woman totally devoted to her husband. This also is a path. So that portion is all right as a path. So, in spite of Bhavani teaching her hundreds of things, when she met her husband, she said, I fully belong to you. The reading was over. The master was smiling. The devotees looked at him, eagerly waiting to hear what he would say. Master to the devotees smiling. This is not as bad. This is not so bad. Is called the dharma of chastity, the single-minded devotion of a wife to her husband. If God can be worshipped through an image, why shouldn't it be possible to worship Him through a living person? It is God Himself who sports in the world as men. So this particular thing Thakur agrees. Oh, what a state I passed through. I passed some days absorbed in Sita and Durga, Shiva and Durga. Some days absorbed in Radha and Krishna, and some days absorbed in Sita and Rama. You find some difference here? Talking of Shiva, he talks of Shiva and Durga. Otherwise, Radha and Krishna, Sita and Rama. Assuming Radha's attitude, I would cry for Krishna. And assuming Sita's attitude, I would cry for Rama. But Leela is by no means the last word, whether husband or anybody. Passing through all these states, I said to the Divine Mother, Mother, in these states there is a separation. Thakur does not forget the Nirvikal Samadhi and the Advaita. Give me a state where there is no separation. Then I remained for some time absorbed in the indivisible Satchidananda. I removed the pictures of gods and goddesses from my room. Whatever Thakur does is absolutely intense and one-pointed. I began to pursue God in all beings. Formal worship dropped away. You see that bell tree? I used to go there to pluck its leaves. One day as I plucked a leaf, a bit of the bark came off. I found the tree full of consciousness. I felt grieved because I had hurt the tree. One day I tried to pluck some durva grass, but I found I couldn't do it very well. Then I forced myself to pluck it somehow. So for Thakur, the whole world is full of Chaitanya. That is the last word. I cannot cut a lemon. The other day I managed to cut one only with great difficulty. I chanted the name of Kali and cut the fruit as they slaughter the animal before the goddess. One day I was about to gather some flowers. They were everywhere on the tree. At once I had a vision of Virat. It appeared that his worship was just over. So the whole world is Virat and his worship is the flowers already on the tree. The flowers looked like a bouquet placed on the head of the deity. I could not pluck them. Now, Swamiji applied this very idea that the patients are God and the flowers are already offered to them in the Kashi Sevashram. God sports through man as well. I see man as the embodiment of Narayana. As fire is kindled when you rub two pieces of wood together, so God can be seen in man if you have intense devotion. That is like rubbing the two pieces. If there is suitable bait, big fish like carp, gulp it down at once. When one is intoxicated with prema, one sees God in all beings. The gopis saw Krishna in everything. To them, the whole world was filled with Krishna. They said that they themselves were Krishna. They were then in a God intoxicated state. So through love, they reached the same place. Looking at the tree, they said, these are hermits absorbed in meditation on Krishna. Looking at the grass, they said, the hair of the earth is standing on end by the touch of Krishna. That is how Krishna becomes filled with everything. Devotion to the husband is also a dharma. The husband is God. Why shouldn't it be so? If God can be worshipped through an image, why not also through a living man? But three things are necessary in order to feel the presence of God in an image. First, the devotion of the priest. Second, a beautiful image. And third, the devotion of the householder. So here, householder engages a priest to worship the image. And there the householder should have devotion of the householder, devotion of the priest, and a beautiful image. Vaishnavacharan once said that in the end, the mind of the devotee is absorbed in the human manifestation of God. So he always takes Vaishnavacharan's name for that idea. But you must remember one thing. One cannot see God sporting as man unless one has had the vision of it. So it is not only an idea. Do you know the sign of one who has got vision? Such a man acquires the nature of a child. Why a child? Because God is like a child. So he who sees God becomes like a child. Very simple, no attachment, not under any guna, not under any bondage, not having ego. God vision is necessary. Now the question is, how can one get it intense renunciation is the means. Dispassion. A man should have such intense yearning for God that he can say, "Oh Father of the universe, am I outside your universe? Won't you be kind to me, you wretch?" That means forcing his will on God. You partake of the nature of him on whom you meditate. By worshipping Shiva, you acquire the nature of Shiva. A devotee of Rama meditated on Hanuman day and night. He used to think he had become Hanuman. In the end, he was firmly convinced that he had even grown a little tail. Jnana is the characteristic of Shiva and Bhakti of Vishnu. One who partakes of Shiva's nature becomes a jnani, and one who partakes of Vishnu's nature becomes a bhakta. Transcendent God and immanent God. M. But what about Chaitanya Dev? You said he had both knowledge and devotion. Master sharply. His case was different. He was an incarnation of God. There is a great difference between him and an ordinary man. Now, I was about to think, Thakur's all disciples are full of jnana and full of bhakti. So their case is different. He was talking about an ordinary man. The fire of Chaitanya's renunciation was so great that when Sarvabhauma poured sugar on his tongue, instead of melting, it evaporated into air. Sarvabhauma, his sannyas guru did it anyway. Understood? Sugar on tongue. By seeing sugar, people saliva comes. But sugar putting on tongue, it did not salivate. It remained dry. So when wind came, it flew away. That is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was always absorbed in samadhi. How great was his conquest of lust? To compare him with a man. A lion eats meat and yet it mates only once in 12 years. But a sparrow eats grain and it indulges in sex life day and night. Such is the difference between a divine incarnation and an ordinary human being. An ordinary man renounces lust, but once in a while he forgets his woe. He cannot control himself. Thakur knows the nature of man and nature of God. 2M. He who has realized God looks on man as a mere worm. One cannot succeed in religious life if one has shame, hatred, or fear. These are fetters. Haven't you heard of the 8 fetters? How can one who is eternally perfect be afraid of the world? He knows how to play his game. An eternally perfect soul can even lead a worldly life if he so desires. These are people who can fence with 2 swords at the same time. They are such expert fencers that if stones are thrown at them, the stones hit the swords and come back to the hitter. A devotee, sir, how can one see God? Master, can you ever see God if you do not direct your whole mind towards Him? The Bhagavata speaks about Shukadeva. When he walked about, he looked like a soldier with fixed bayonet. His gaze did not wander. It had only one God and that one goal, and that was God. This is the meaning of yoga. The Chatak bird drinks only rainwater. Though the Ganges, the Yamuna, the Godavari, and other rivers are full of water, and though the 7 oceans are full to the brim, still the Chatak will not touch them. He will drink only the water that falls from the clouds. So such one-pointed devotion is necessary. Who has developed such yoga can see God. In the theater, the audience remains engaged in all kinds of conversation about home, office and school till the curtain goes up. But no sooner does it go up than all conversation comes to a stop and the people watch the play with fixed attention. If after a long while someone utters a word or two, it is about the play. Mhm. Difference between sadhana, realization, and worldly people. After a drunkard has drunk his liquor, he talks only about the joy of drunkenness. Another example is intoxication. Nitya Gopal was seated in front of Sri Ramakrishna. He was always in ecstasy. He sat there in silence. Master to Nitya Gopal, smiling. Gopal, why are you always silent? Nitya Gopal answered like a child, I do not know. Master, I understand why you don't say anything. Perhaps you are afraid of committing a transgression. You are right. Jaya and Vijaya were gatekeepers of Narayana. They refused Shanaka, Sanatana, and other rishis admission into his palace. For this transgression, Jaya and Vijaya had to be born 3 times on earth. That is what the Puranas tell us. Again, there is the instance of Sri Rama. He was Vraja's gatekeeper in Goloka. Sri Krishna was in Vraja's house. Radhika went there to surprise Krishna and wanted to enter the house. Sri Rama would not admit her. And so Radhika cursed him to be born as a demon on earth. But Sri Rama too cursed her. These are all Puranic stories. Huh? But there is one thing you should remember. When a boy walks holding his father's hand, he may fall into the ground. But what has he to fear if the father holds him by the hand? Now here Master Masha mentions the story of Sri Dhamma is narrated in the Brahma Vaivarta Purana. So you have to dig out into Brahma Vaivarta Purana to know the whole story. Kedar was a government official, had been living at Dhaka for some time. He had been transferred there from Calcutta. He was a devotee of Sri Ramakrishna and had gathered together at Dhaka many devotees who came to him regularly for spiritual instruction. As one should not come empty handed to a religious man, the devotees would bring Kedar sweets and other offerings. Krishna, Kedar to the master humbly. Should I eat those things, offerings? He is asking sincerely, Master, it won't injure you if the offerings are given out of love for God. But they are harmful if they are given with any selfish motive. That troubles you. Kedar, I have explained everything to the devotees and now I feel relieved. I have told them that he who has given me the blessings knows all. That is Thakur. Master smiling. That is true. You see people of all sorts come here, so they find here different things. Kedar, I do not need to know different things. Master smiling. Why not? one should know a little of everything. If a man starts a grocery shop, he keeps all kinds of articles there, including a little lentil and tamarind. An expert musician knows how to play a little on all instruments. That means if you are a teacher, you do require all these. Sri Ramakrishna left the room and went towards the pine grove, the Kasurina grove. The devotees began to walk about in the garden. Several went to the Panchavati. Sri Ramakrishna met them there and said, I have indigestion. I took a meal at the Maliks. They are very worldly people. So Thakur's stomach is affected not by the quality of the food, but the quality of the person from where the food comes. A few of the master's personal things lay scattered on the cement platform of the Panchavati, and he asked them to bring them. He proceeded to his room and devotees followed. In the afternoon, the master rested a while. Afterwards, a few devotees arrived. The master sat on the small couch, reclining against a pillow. A devotee, Sir, can one know God's attributes through the intellect? Master, certainly not by this ordinary intellect. Can one know God so easily? One must practice sadhana. One must also adopt a particular attitude towards God. For instance, the attitude of a servant toward the master. The rishis of old had the attitude of Shanta. Do you know the attitude of the Jnanis? So Jnani is also a Bhakta. Huh? It is to meditate on one's own self. To a devotee with a smile, what is your attitude? The devotee gave no answer. Master, smiling, you have two attitudes. You meditate on your own self and also cherish towards God the attitude of a servant. Am I not right? Devotee, hesitating and smiling. Yes, sir. Master smiling. You see, as Hadra says, I can read people's thoughts. One can maintain those two attitudes only at a very advanced stage. Prarabdha maintain them, but one must work hard in order to practice this in ideal. Let me give an illustration. Suppose a man is grasping the thorny branch of a palm tree. His hand bleeds profusely, but he says, there is nothing the matter with me. I am not hurt. If you ask him about his wound, he will say, it's all right. I am quite well. Now, is there any meaning in the mere utterance of those words? One must practice discipline in keeping with his ideal. The devotees were giving their whole attention to what Master was saying. So this is how that day is completed. So I got Thakur's opinion about everything which the Bankim has said in that book. So Master's purpose is over in one way. Om Tava Kathāmritam Tapta Jivanam Kaviviridhitam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Shrimadaatatam Bhui Grunanti Ye Bhurida Jana Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tatsat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.